And India take on Pakistan this Sunday in New York. Lines we never thought we would see in what is supposed to be the marquee clash of this tournament. Welcome to the Shiny Side. I'm your host, Faris, and we have with us from Gurgaon, Vivek. How's it going, Vivek?
Hi, Keith. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
And we have Umair Qazi, whose bags are packed. He's ready to go, taking a flight to New York, and he will be at this game. So, Umair, welcome to the show.
Hi, Faris. How are you? Hi, Vivek. Thank you.
Hi, Umair.
I'm very well, right? And before we get into it, right, the whole talk before this is, of course, India-Pakistan is never a small game, but it's a bit of an inconsequential game provided we all win the other games. And after what happened yesterday, and I think we all know what happened yesterday, it's no longer an inconsequential game. So I was looking back at the history of Pakistan India in this tournament. Since the first T20 World Cup where Pakistan lost to India in the final, every single time Pakistan has played India, it hasn't been a must win for anybody. So this is probably the most high profile or most, at least for Pakistan, a critical India-Pakistan game that's happened since 2007. Umair, what's your sentiment like after yesterday and just about the game in general now?
You know, in the last show I did with you, I said the biggest fear is that I land in New York and 24 hours later, Pakistan is out of the World Cup. That fear is coming real. Look, I think the team itself, the morale is probably down and the fans as well. I think there's no belief anywhere right now. Everyone thinks that it's over for Pakistan. And I'm leaning towards that as well.
And that's when Pakistan is at its best, ladies and gentlemen. But Vivek, how is India looking at this game?
I think for India, I mean, it's an important game. Obviously, India-Pakistan is always a big game, and they would have been mentally prepared for this game for a while. Psychologically, of course, I mean, I think for past few years now, edge has been with India generally because of their performances. I think the players are individually mentally tougher as a unit. They have belief, and recent triumphs also have generally helped. I think they obviously had a comfortable time in the recent World Cup, and then in the last T20 World Cup, we know that very famous match, which was very close. But I think all of that helped. So I think psychologically they're strong. I think the unknown is the pitch, and India has played already in that New York pitch, so they'll have some questions there, and that could swing things either way. India might also, it's a bit of a tricky game because this is why Pakistan is so unpredictable and dangerous, right? Like you push them in a corner and anything can happen. They could disintegrate tomorrow, day after, or they'll come back and they'll look like this completely different team than the one that lost to the US. So I think India, this is an experienced, seasoned outfit. They'll know what to expect. I hope it's a good game.
There's this podcast called
let's hope.
There's this podcast called Batta Fast. It's a Pakistani podcast with Usman Samiuddin and Emir Naqvi. And before the tournament, they spoke about how the only way they see Pakistan winning the tournament is if Pakistan loses to USA, does a comeback by beating India, and then goes on a run. So part one of that has already happened. Let's see if part two of that can happen. But I guess if you look at you mentioned, again, I think India obviously has a much better record against Pakistan in this tournament. They've played 7 times. India has won 5. 1 was a tie. And Pakistan's won the one, of course, a couple of years ago. I think more recently, Pakistan, if you look at the tournament overall, by the way, so India and Pakistan have both won a title each. Pakistan has played 3 finals. India has played 2. I think Pakistan's played 6 semifinals. India's played 5. So interestingly, Pakistan does have a slightly better record in this particular tournament than India does. If you look at the stats, right? So again, for New York, so we've talked about New York, and ordinarily I would share the average score, etc. But the stadium didn't exist 6 months ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago for that matter. The couple of games we've seen have been bizarre. No team has scored 100 runs in the innings there so far. I mean, I guess for added context, Ireland batted first against India, bowled out for 96. Similarly, Sri Lanka batted first against South Africa, bowled out for 77. But the chasing team didn't look that comfortable either. So I think how the pitch plays, this again is a drop-in track coming from Adelaide, planted in Florida, whatever the case may be, it's going to be a big factor. If you look at how India is shaping up, generally speaking, Vivek, so we spoke at length about the 11 they should go with. It looks like Kohli and Rohit will be opening. It looks like, again, I think Kohli and Sky didn't look so fluent. Rohit managed to get a 50, even though he looked like he didn't know what was happening for a while. I think there's more about the pitch than Rohit. How do you see the Indian batting coming together overall?
Yeah, for me, I was always shared with you, right? Like while I felt that Kohli Rohit opening would be the right thing, I wasn't sure if the team would actually take that progressive decision. Very, very happy to say that they did, which means that they are really thinking differently, and not in the classical cricket way, and they're trying to win. So I like that, I think that's good. Yes, it didn't necessarily come off, but I think that's fine. It's a matter of time. This pitch is a huge factor. I think I was reading that there have been complaints placed actually on this pitch based on the two games, and people have got injured as well, right? Including Rohit Sharma got hit on the hand. So there is possibly a chance that they will play on one of the newer wickets on the same ground, one of the newer tracks. Now, if that's the case, then again, we don't know.
Anyone knows what that means, right?
Yeah, will they be overcautious and make that a complete flat track play? I mean, or maybe it's not even possible. I mean, so I think this is a big unknown for both teams. We'll just have to go with that.
Yeah, and Umair, if I look at India's bowling, right? So they didn't play us. I mean, I'm counting Jadeja as a spin bowling all rounder. They didn't play any specialist spinner. They didn't play Kuldeep or Chahal. They essentially were playing all three quicks, which was a bit of a surprise because they only have three quicks. So you thought they picked the side not expecting to play all three, and then they played Hardik, of course, the seam all rounder. Then they also played both Akshar Patel and Jadeja. What did you make of that balance overall, regardless of who we're talking about? Do you think they were trying to kind of not make their tail too long? Was that the point there?
That's the only reason I can think why they would go with Akshar Patel over Kuldeep or Chahal. Because Akshar Patel left-arm spinner, Jadeja left-arm spinner, both pretty similar. So it didn't make sense. The only thing that made sense was, yes, they wanted a decent bat at number 8.
Yeah.
I think the strongest 11 would probably be with Kuldeep in it. But I think on this New York pitch, they will play the three paces for sure. And Pandya being the fourth and Shivam Dubey also.
Yeah, and Kuldeep again has a pretty good record against Pakistan as well, right? So you would think they would be there. If you look at Pakistan, again, I think we played 25 T20s since the last T20 World Cup, and we've only won 8 of them. So clearly they've had a pretty bad time. If you look at how they've played, I think we saw yesterday early wickets can really dry up the runs. They're pretty susceptible to spin, and Umair, we've moved on. A lot of things that happen in the world, but reliance on Babar and Rizwan seems to be there with the bat.
I mean, that's the only way to go, right? I mean, I don't think there's any other option. Unless they want to bring in Saim Ayub and play Usman down the order. They might, but they might just fit him at number 3 as well.
And I guess, Umair, when you were picking the 11 before this, right? A lot of us thought Shaheen or Amir may be left out. But Naseem or Amir, one of them would be left out. But Naseem possibly looked like our best bowler on show yesterday. And this is probably his best showing since he's come back from his injury.
Yeah, no, Naseem was very good. I think Imad's injury resulted in that. I don't think they want to play Shadab and Abrar in the same 11. They can or would think of playing Imad and Abrar. If Imad was fit, it would have been interesting to see if they still went with 4 paces.
Yeah.
I think that choice is made because Imad was unfit. But now Shadab has scored runs with the bat, so I don't know what they're going to do.
And I guess, Shaheen was a bit wicketless, so not the best day for him. Amir, while he bowled a couple of good overs, his first over in the game was, again, a wide ball, which was hit for 4, and there was a number of wides. And then again, we saw what he did unfortunately, in the super over. So clearly, he had a mixed kind of day. I think we spoke about this, Vivek, earlier, but there were a lot of little things with the captaincy, which I think it can be question mark, right? So we spoke about this off air right before, right? But Naseem Shah always bats ahead of Haris Rauf. He's a pretty good batsman. He was sent in ahead of Haris. And Haris played about 7 odd balls for 5, I believe. So had Naseem come in, it could have been a very different result. With 5 overs to go, each of Pakistan's bowlers had 1 over left. And at that point, Shadab looked like a weakest bowler. And Babar, and I know this is an associate side, so 45 of 30 looks like the pressure was just beginning to get on. And Babar bowled Shadab at that time. Now, if I go back 2 years ago to that India T20 game, Babar saved Nawaz's over for the end, and that he could not finish the game off. In my view, that wasn't the wrong call by Babar. It didn't come off at that time. But I almost feel like it was that pressure of that kind of situation that made Babar go with Shadab, who went for 12 and kind of killed off the pressure immediately. But Vivek, in terms of captaincy, and then again, there was no long off at the boundary on the last ball. Hardik was bowling full. So
That
yes,
was just unbelievable.
yeah.
Schoolboy errors.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
if
I
you're
mean,
gonna ball full, speak to your captain and see. You should have long on, long off. Back.
yeah. No, to be fair to Babar Azam, I think the Melbourne India match, I think he captained it pretty well. I mean, he Nawaz till the end. He played his aggressive cards earlier. He did squeeze. I mean, I remember distinct. It was 28 of 8 balls,
Yeah.
and that was just a little bit unbelievable. What
Yeah.
Kohli 2 sixes there. I mean, it's not going to happen,
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
day. And then the last over, even after those 2 sixes, was 16 in the last over. And yeah, it's a combination of a lot of events, right? Like which we can still talk about, which are very hairline things. So I know Babar gets criticism of the captaincy, but I at least as an outsider, I don't see it. I mean, even in the World Cup, the recent one-day World Cup, he got canned for everything. I think the whole team didn't perform. I don't think it was so much captaincy. If your bowlers don't perform, they don't. If you don't have depth in the bowling, and if your bowlers aren't like bowling to the fields and the line, then I mean, what can the captain do? So it's. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't follow the match at this particular juncture about that decision on Shadab, so I can't comment. I don't know. But again, I think it was like you guys said earlier, there were a lot of other mistakes, honestly, wides and dropped catches. And I saw the first over, there was a nick that went through, not between,
Yeah.
it went through the
Yeah.
so
No one moved.
yeah, exactly. It seemed like it went through him.
Yes.
And I mean, it's this kind of stuff. And I think this is where Pakistan don't have a lot of teams have evolved to a very scientific discipline in playing the game, right? So it's not relying on just raw talent. Pakistan has always had raw talent, but and I think this is where India has actually overcome. India for a long time was also just about, the talent here and there, but no discipline. That has changed, in the last 7, 8 years. And I think for Pakistan, that somehow that's tough. So when the talent comes together, they can still win this tournament, but that's where these things happen.
So I guess it's time to look at the 11s. Now, Umair, I don't think there's any news so far about Imad Wasim and whether he's fit. Instead of trying to come up with my 11, I've just kind of shared the recent 11 and see who the reserves are. And what change do you think Umair Pakistan will make or they should make?
They'll drop Azam Khan and probably play Simon Ayub.
And they'll open with Saim, you think?
They may have him at one down. Babar Rizwan might open.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess Abbas Afridi makes no sense, obviously. If anything, you may go with and if Imad is, I mean, it's New York, and with the pitch, you probably want 4 paces. I
think they'll definitely play 4 paces in New York.
I would have been keen on seeing Abrar. I mean, I'm not sure when he's ever going to play, because if Imad sat out and Dallas was in New York, right? If you didn't play him, then I don't know if you're ever going to play him, because I felt like the mystery element could be useful against India, even on a plate like New York. But I guess, Umair, in my case, I would, I would probably make the same change. Vivek, do you think, what do you think? Should Pakistan be going with 4 quicks, or 3 quicks are good enough given the track?
I don't know, right? If they play on the same wicket, then for sure. But if they're going to try one of the other 2 wickets, I mean, see, we don't know. We have to be prepared, right? Maybe they'll have a look at it and say that it could afford some turn. I mean, we don't know. In that case, an Abrar would come into the picture. But my guess is Abrar has been picked for the West Indies matches and, those more turning tracks.
I mean, so, if you make it there.
If Pakistan get there.
Yeah, of course. So otherwise, I would agree. I think it would make sense to have a more aggressive batsman in the top, if not 2, top 3 at least. So I think Saim Ayub, given the shocker yesterday, I think it would make sense. You should have some change also, because I think
that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So, and also another thing I was thinking of, right? Like when the super over happened, you were deciding who to send into bat. Had Saim been there, he's somebody who's an opener, who's an aggressive opener, used to kind of taking it on from ball 1. So he would have been a good choice for that. He wasn't
that was also bizarre, right? Don't you think there was like 10 minutes or something, right?
Yeah, like so I'm not sure what happened there, but apparently we were past.
They're probably going to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was also strange that Fakhar Zaman did not face.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess moving on to India's 11 now. So Yeah. So again, I've put up the 11 they had last time. Vivek, do you see any changes to that? Do you think they'll go with the same side?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why they should change the side. I mean, if they're playing on the same wicket, I mean, the team wasn't even fully tested, so you can't even, there's no real scope for making changes. So again, only if somehow they're playing on the other two tracks and there's something really different on those tracks, they see maybe Kuldeep comes into play. But otherwise, I think it should be the same. The good news for India is that Pandya is bowling, first of all, given his back and everything. So that's good. He seemed to be fairly sharp. So
He
that's
was.
that's good. And I think Hardik is also, while he's not been in great form, obviously, for a long time, he has a good record against Pakistan. I think he has that mental toughness and that will to succeed again against Pakistan. So I think he'll.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
it's good.
he's
I think
happy.
India will feel fairly
Yeah.
comfortable
I'm
at
sure
this
he's
stage.
happy being in an India shirt as opposed to a Mumbai Indian shirt after
Yeah.
the season he's had. Umair,
Yeah, and Arshdeep also looked. I mean, again, it was Ireland, and maybe the wicket was helpful, so can't say. But he looked pretty sharp as well, which was nice, Arshdeep.
Umair, any thoughts on India's 11? Do you think they'll make a change?
I think they'll bring in Kuldeep Yadav for Akshar.
And again, go with I guess, I mean, Pakistan has its own issues, but you do end up with a long, I know it's a trade-off. Uh, they do end up with a fairly long tail
Oh, I
with
mean,
Bumrah
look,
batting at
you've got 7 batsmen. You really don't need number 8 to bat. And people like Bumrah and Siraj, even Kuldeep, they can swing the bat. I mean, what more do you need?
India
You
are
don't
ready
need
for
a
Shami in
batsman,
these
batsman at
conversations,
number
I guess.
8.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I
make
don't
sense.
think it's about the batting, but I just think about the pitch. That's the thing.
Cool. Okay, makes sense. In terms of this is probably Vivek. I come to you first. This is probably a pretty silly question given the track. But what do you think each team would want to do if they win the toss?
It seems like it's better to bat second, right? Because this ball moves around in the beginning and it's still an unknown
Yeah,
pitch.
it's
So,
a massive unknown, right? Like no, the weaker team, if I can call it that, is batted first in both the matches. So you don't know the scale of the
so it
pitch.
seems like, and dew and all that don't seem to be
I
factors
mean,
here.
it's a morning game, right? So there's no dew, I guess.
Yeah. So therefore, I think both teams would just take a crack with the ball. I think Pakistan for sure, because their main way, I think, in this game to make a big mark at the start of the game is like if they get Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli
Yeah.
out in the first 3 overs, if they get a couple of magic balls in, which they can. And so I would imagine they also want to have a first crack.
So I'm expecting it to be a ball first for whoever wins the toss. So, Umair, what's your take on that?
Yeah, bold first for sure. Guys, Canada Ireland right now going on is being played in New York. Canada scored 137. Ireland's just starting their chase. So this is the highest score we've
By the way,
seen
I was going to say there's
in
actually
Melbourne.
2 more games scheduled. So there's one today, there's one tomorrow as well. I'm not sure which one. That's also in New York. So there'll be the track will be 2 more pitches old. We'll have twice as much data. And I guess, Umair, that brings me to very well to the next question. What do you think should be whoever does bat first? What is a good score on this track for this game?
I really don't know. I mean, I think you can probably defend a 140 to 150. You can probably defend it, I would think. Because even the teams batting second have struggled, right? It's not been easy for them.
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma has looked like the only one who's been able to score and that's because he bats a certain way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a bowler's game, I feel.
Yeah. Vivek, same question for you. What's a good score for the team batting first?
I would go slightly higher than what Umair is saying. Simple reason is that I think we've not had a match where you have top quality batsmen on both teams yet. So while 150 might end up being defendable, I think the team who's batting first would be looking at 170. And that should be the goal at least. And then,
Are you calling Pakistan top quality batsmen?
no, I mean, come on, they're not like the associate teams, right? So,
I mean, the way they bat did yesterday. I don't
Guys, I mean,
know.
you have to be more positive now. Come on.
So
Come on, come on.
tomorrow there's 4 games, by the way, and one of them is Netherlands, South Africa, another old grudge match, also in New York, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll get to
That's in
see
New York? Okay,
in New
nice.
York. Yeah,
Nice.
So they're
yeah.
playing all these games on the same wicket, I guess, then.
I guess. And
I
there's,
don't know. There are four pitches, so I think they keep changing.
by the way, tomorrow there's possibly 4 other games which are big cricket rivalries. There's Australia England, that's 10:30 Pakistan time tomorrow. There's also the real hostile uh, rivalry in cricket, Sri Lanka Bangladesh, right? Like India Pakistan, the players hang out, they're smiling. Bangladesh Sri Lanka is the real one where they don't even like see eye to eye,
Yeah.
etc. etc. So
So
that's
all these games will be happening while I'm
yeah.
on the flight.
There's Australia England tomorrow night. That's I'm looking forward to that. That's like a late start,
I
10:30.
think I might have landed by then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of games, but I guess before we wrap up, guys, Umair, players to watch out for both sides. Who do you think if Pakistan has to win, who has to do well, Umair? And same question for India, Umair.
Usual man in the batting. I think for Pakistan to win, Fakhar Zaman has to do well because he scores at a fair click, and you would need those runs. And in order to defend or keep India to a chaseable total or defend a total, I think all your bowlers will need to step up, especially Shaheen.
Yeah.
He was totally off color, and we would need him on his A game.
And for India,
For India, again, Rohit Sharma is key, Sky is key, and then of course Bumrah and Hardik Pandya.
Vivek, same question for you. Who do you think is potentially key for India and Pakistan?
So for India, I'll start. Given the conditions, I think Bumrah for sure is in top form, and he can do magic with the ball. So if he gets, Babar's wicket and all those early, then I think that makes a huge difference. Interesting that Siraj and Arshdeep also, with help of the conditions, were looking more potent than I've seen them at the IPL and all that. So that's good. Kohli is obviously big wicket, psychologically huge wicket. Also they'll for sure remember the last T20 match as well. He didn't start off great. Rohit will play like how he does. He need a little bit of luck here and there. We've not seen the other guys, Sky and all that properly. I mean, and it's been hard. You saw even India against Ireland. I mean, Rishabh Pant was swinging wildly.
Yeah.
I mean, hardly hitting any ball. So it was. I don't think the batsman will be super comfortable. So I guess it'll be dependence on. This is where Virat Kohli makes a lot of difference, I think, when the conditions are really hard.
I think
And Hardik in the middle, he has that. It's good that he's bowling well, and these conditions will help him count as a fast bowler. So I think that will be also good for India.
I think for me, for the players to watch out for, I think it really changes with the conditions we have, right? So I would actually put someone like Rizwan down as my player for key for Pakistan because the kind of 70 or 52 he normally scores, and we criticize him for not scoring more than 170. That kind of knock can really hold your innings together on this kind of track. So I would feel like I think someone like him and even Babar is key with the bat with the ball. I think it's all about new ball wickets, right? So India is obviously playing really well, but if you get Rohit and Kohli early, then anything can happen, right? So I would say Shaheen, and then even I would say, I guess Naseem Shah, given the form he's been in, I think would be
Shaheen. I think is key. He has that record against India. So if he can, and Rohit Sharma has whatever it is, there is an issue against left arm pace early on, ball swinging and all that. So if Pakistan bowling first, I think Shaheen Shah is so critical. And if he can snap in those first 3 overs, I think that will be big. Batting wise, yeah, I do agree. Babar will have to be the glue, and I think Rizwan could be that guy who plays these unorthodox bold shots.
These innings we criticize them for, like this on this track, a 70 or 50 can win the game for you, really. It's the kind of track.
Yeah, absolutely.
But final question, predictions, guys. Umair, what will you watch in the stadium?
Oh my God. Yeah, I can't make a prediction. I can't go against Pakistan, but I think India will win. But I'm hoping for a good game. It should be a good game. I just hope that if the team batting first just gets 100 or 110 gets bowled out, then the other team wins by 2 wickets and not a walk in the park. So looking for a game like that.
Vivek, your prediction?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but outside of that also, I would have to say, I mean, just India on form. But again, I hope and I think it'll be a good game, and there'll be drama, and let's hope it's that way because these are the games you remember. Then
For sure.
I mean, if anything, the last game at the World Cup in 22, anything to go by, that was a great game.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
if
I think
we
it was
get
a
anything
beautiful
close
game.
to that, it will be amazing.
No, it was a fantastic game. I mean, like
Yeah.
great performances. It wasn't just Virat Kohli's innings, but I think
Yeah,
there was so many great performances through that. I think from both sides, and it ebbed and flowed so much. And I think you want that kind of stuff. And hopefully, I mean, it's a big spectacle in New York. I think there are lots of folks. I mean, you're flying out. I think there's going to be a lot of Bollywood folks and all out there. So it's going to be fun.
Are
It's
they?
going to be quite,
Okay,
yeah, that's what
let's
I
see who I
heard.
beat. Okay.
I mean, I mean, we have some tie-up. We work with American Express and these concierge services. They've been selling these tickets off at 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs and all that. So lots of, it's a big deal. I think there'll be, and I think it'll be interesting that you'll have a fairly 50-50 kind of audience support as well. So it's not like they're playing in India or in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be fab atmosphere. It'll be very memorable. Let's hope it lives up to
from the game's point of view, it's a really important day for what cricket can become in America and hence in the world, right? So let's just hope it goes off. It goes off. It'd be put up a good spectacle, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah.
But good stuff. For those
And
of you,
I think, like Umair said, I just hope. I think it shouldn't be that one team just collapses and it's 100 all, and then it's a pain. If whoever's batting first gets in the 150 to 170 zone, I think that's the best zone. I mean, then for sure that's a good match. That's what happened last time as well at Melbourne, right? It was 160.
It was 158 or something like that. I think.
Exactly. Those are the best games, Then that's how it should be.
So those of you watching, if you have a view on what 11 you think the team should go with, please leave a comment. Vivek, thank you for being on.
My pleasure, Faris, and safe travels, Umair. All the best.
Thank you, Vivek.
We will look out for you on the screen with the Hulk glove. I'm not sure if it's going to be there with you, the green glove, but
I'm trying to find space in my suitcase.
Good stuff. Maybe take less of some other thing which I will not name on the show. But anyway,
I know.
have a good day, and those of you watching, stay tuned to the shiny side.